Hello everyone, I'm Freaky and welcome to the video. My friends, do you like stories? Of course you do. And stories can come in any format, like books, comic books, manga, novels, graphic novels, games, movies, series, or it could be a story from mouth to ear. There are so many different types of media that you can get stories from, and sometimes we like to put ourselves inside the story alongside our favourite character within the story, like, for example, the knight saving the princess from the dragon story, because this story is a tale as old as time itself, that the brave knight has to go and fight the dragon, and he fights with all his might. He gets hurt in the process, but he gets back up, and he fights with all of his might, and goes beyond what he can do, and in the end, he wins against the dragon, and he releases the maiden from her tower, and he gets the girl in the end, and the knight and the princess are riding off into the sunset, and they live happily ever after. And if this story went into more detail about the knight, the princess, and how bad the dragon is, you guys would be more invested in the knight and his battle against the dragon. And you know what? We all love an happy ending. We like how things go the way we want them to go within a story. And in stories, we love the way things turn out in the end. Like, one character gets with another character and they get married, and it's the two people that we've been with the whole time, and you're glad that these two characters got together. Or, here's another example. There was a boy and his mother, and his mother was sick, and the boy is told by a fortune teller that if he wants to save his mother, he has to get this herb that's on the top of this mountain. And so he goes on this long journey up this dangerous mountain, and maybe make a few friends along the way, maybe? And he finds the herb, he goes all the way back down to the base of the mountain, he gives the herb to his mother, and she's all better. And they lived happily ever after. It's always those soul stories that makes you feel good inside, that the main character has been through all these hardships, that he's gone through all these struggles, he's gone through this whole journey, and they get their happy ending in the end. And you know what? That's what we are hoping for with our main characters. There's also good versus evil stories like Goku versus Frieza. One is the good guy and one is the bad guy. And we want the good guy to beat the bad guy. We always want a story to go our way. And in simple stories like this, there's always that crystal clear right and wrong, or obstacles that our main character has got to go through, and so on and so on and so on. Something that's plain and simple, that makes us feel good inside. And you always want the good guy main character to get his happy ending. And you always want the story to go your way. Either you want it to happen, or you want something to happen because you wanted to follow your moral compass. I mean, some people will say that they didn't want Goku to give Cell a senzu bean, or they would have left Frieza for dead when he was sliced in half on Namek, or they would have killed Moro when they had the chance and not give Moro a senzu bean. If you guys have seen Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super, you guys will know what I'm talking about. And this is where my discussion on this topic begins. And basically, I'm going to be talking about stories, but not just any stories, but stories that people don't like, stories that makes you feel uncomfortable, stories that don't go your way, stories that gives you that surprise bad ending in the end, stories that goes against your moral compass, stories that make you angry. And when I mean angry in a way that it makes you frustrated that the story or the characters didn't go your way. Because for a long time, I've always had this fascination when it comes to stories that makes the audience angry because the story didn't go their way. Now, we love a good story where it's good versus evil and good wins in the end. We like seeing the main character go on this big journey, and he or she overcomes all these obstacles in order to complete this journey. You know, that sort of stuff when it comes to stories. But for a long time, I have seen stories that has made people angry because a story didn't go their way. And just to let you guys know, no, I'm not talking about all this woke nonsense where they forcibly put left-wing politics with the movies. No, I'm not talking about that, where She-Hulk is much better than the original Hulk. If you guys have seen politics in movies, you know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm talking about stories in general, where things don't go the audience way on how they want the movie or series to end, or story to end. Let me give you guys an example of what I'm trying to say. There's a movie made by Stephen King, and it's called Misery. And the story is about this author who has made loads of books about a series, and he decides that he's going to kill off one of the main characters within this book because he wants to try something new. And while he was driving in the snow, he gets into an accident. He's knocked out, and he gets taken in by this woman called Annie Wilkes. And when he wakes up, and he finds out that Annie helped him, and also Annie so happens to be a big fan of Paul, the author's books, like a really big fan. And as thanks, Paul lets Annie read his new book, and when she reads it, she goes absolutely ballistic, because the character that she likes in the story, I think is called Misery. Well, that character gets killed off in the end, and she goes back to Paul and says, I don't want her to die, I don't want her to die. I mean, she really flipped out at Paul, and she forces him to rewrite the book that he was going to release and she made him burn the book that he was going to submit that she read, and she also broke his ankles with a freaking sledgehammer so he wouldn't escape. And as he's making this new story, she's always checking on his progress on what's happening in the story so it'll meet up to her standards. And the sad part is, he had to destroy his own work that he put all his passion and love into these pages and restart the story and make the story that'll meet up to Annie's standards. I mean, come on, she is a freaking crazy person. Annie had no respect for the author. She only cared about the story and what was happening in the story. And she goes nuts because a character dies or the story didn't go the way she wanted it. Now, the thing is, who the hell is she to decide of what should be in the novel or not? I mean, listen, I can understand that there's going to be some people out there that's very, very invested in a story, and they want things to go their way. Like, they want a certain character to die, or they want a certain character to get with somebody else, or they want a certain character to live. And the thing is, I have been there. I've always wanted to see certain characters live, I've always wanted to see some characters die, and there's been certain series that I didn't like, but everybody else likes. I mean, I prefer 2003 Fullmetal Alchemist than I do to Brotherhood, and there's a few things in 2003 that I like more than I do with Brotherhood, but that doesn't mean I want Brotherhood to change. You could see 2003 and Brotherhood as their own variants of telling the story of Fullmetal Alchemist. There's also the series Code Geass. I mean, I really do not like this series, but only because I don't like the series doesn't mean I don't want other people to enjoy it. I mean, if you guys love Code Geass, then that's fine with me, but a series has to be criticised, like saying, oh, what's wrong with this, or oh, they didn't like this part, or oh, you know, stuff like that. I mean, I made a full series me saying as to why I don't like Code Geass, so if you guys want to go check that out, please do. Now, the thing is, if somebody has a passion for a story, and when I mean someone, I'm talking about the creators or authors or writers. If they have a passion and love for their creations and they want things to go their way, then they should be allowed to have the characters do whatever the author or creator wants, regardless if the reader or the fan says. It's not up to the reader or the follower or the fan who's reading the story or watching the story about the characters, and the reader or the fan says, I want this character to get with this character. Oh, I don't like this character. I hope this character dies. Or, oh, I feel sorry for this character. You should get a redemption or something. And guys, listen, I've been there. I know what you're talking about. I know what other people are saying when it comes to stories. But the thing is, it's not our story. It's the author's story. It's the writer's story. And yes, I know we all get invested in a story so much, and we wish it would end all happily ever after in the end. But most of the time in real life, you're not going to have that happily ever after. Not everything is going to go your way. Karma is never going to come to the bad guy. People aren't going to have that happily ever after. You're not going to have characters that you ship together hook up. And when it comes to a story, you can do whatever you want with your characters. And I mean absolutely anything. You see, it's all left up to the imagination. In some stories, there could be twists and turns. Like, for example, the main character ending up with somebody that you didn't really think about. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go through a few shows and a few series and a few movies, and I'm going to give you guys an example as to what I'm trying to say. And trust me, this is going to be a long one. Let's have a look at the first one. Futurama's Jurassic Park. In this episode, Fry used to have a dog called Seymour, and now he's all fossilised. And Fry tries so damn hard to get Seymour back, and was shown in the past what Fry and Seymour used to do. And when Fry went missing, Seymour kept waiting and waiting and waiting for him. And when Fry finds out that they can bring back Seymour, Fry's like, okay, let's bring him back. And then later we find out that Seymour died of old age. And Fry gets into his head that Seymour wouldn't remember him, and it would be best if Seymour was left dead. But when we cut back to the past, we see Seymour waiting for Fry for years and years and years, till the day he died. And this made a lot of people upset. People were so upset that Seymour died waiting for Fry. I think they actually retconned it on how Seymour died. I think they did anyways. And again, not a lot of people was happy about this when Seymour died of old age just waiting for Fry. And the sad part is, Fry would never know that Seymour was still waiting for him even after he got really, really old. Again, not many people was happy about this. And that's the thing, not everything is going to go your way. In life, stuff like this happens. And even though I know it's sad, I'm really glad something like this exists. Okay, let's have a look at another one. Let's have a look at the series Bleach. Now, when it comes to Bleach, there has been a little bit of a controversy when it comes to the series. And that part is when Ichigo Kurosaki and Orihime hooked up at the end of the story. And they had a kid together. And loads of people did not like this. I think the majority of people wanted Ichigo and Rukia get together. And it was for all different reasons as to why people wanted Ichigo and Rukia get together. 1, she saves Ichigo's family's life. And 2, Ichigo saves Rukia's life. And Ichigo tries so goddamn hard to try and save Rukia. even when she told him to go away. And also, some people even spotted that Rukia's sword is white and Ichigo's sword is black, so they were kind of opposites. And not a lot of people liked Orihime, either saying that she was useless or she isn't as powerful as Rukia. It would have been a perfect match if Ichigo and Rukia got together. But thanks to Shueisha forcing Kubo to end the series Bleach, in 5 chapters, we saw the end of Bleach, and we see Rukia and Renji got together and had a kid, and Ichigo and Orihime got together and they had a kid. And again, they didn't like this. I guess some people saw it as, oh, both Rukia and Ichigo helped each other and went so far for each other, it would make perfect sense for these two to get together. And they didn't get their wish, and when the manga ended, the fans of Bleach burned their Bleach mangas. I saw this in photos and pictures and all that stuff. And or it could have been a combination of this, of Orihime and Ichigo getting together, and the manga ending in 5 chapters. And that's also something I want to bring up. Even though storytellers, like mangakas, are telling a story, and they want to show something within the stories that they're telling, they have to go through the editors first, and the editors say, okay, make this shorter, make this longer, bring in a few characters there, bring in a few characters there. Ultimately, it's the editors who have the final say of what goes into a manga, or books in general. So sometimes, not even the creator of a story is able to have the story his own way, unless it goes through some red tape, which is the editors. So if it isn't the fans that's giving the creators or authors grief, it's the editors that's giving the creators grief. So most of the time, the creators can't win either with the fans or the editors. So really, creators are being attacked on both sides, and they can't win. But if you ask me, I think creators should have a story go their way and not listen to editors or the fans. I mean, come on, it's their story. Anyways, yeah, let's get back on track. Again, a story can't always go your way. Let me give you guys a few more examples. Let's have a look at Alien 3. Now, if you know Alien 1 and Alien 2, you know all the stuff that Ripley has went through. She was fighting against an alien, then a whole pack of them, and she did everything in her power to protect this one little girl and a few people. And when she won her fight against the Queen Mother of the aliens, it just felt so good that she beat all these aliens and she's on her way back home. But then when Alien 3 came around, her whole world was turned upside down, because as it turns out, there was another alien on board the ship, and that alien killed the rest of the crew. And now she has one of those things inside of her stomach. And in the end, she sacrifices herself and she takes the alien with her. And you know what? That was really, really sad. All that hard work, all those fights she's been through, and it all led up to this. I mean, come on, nobody wanted that. But you know what? At the same time, even though it's not a good movie and it was a sad movie, I do admire the balls that the creators of this movie did. I mean, yeah, it's not the ending that we wanted. And it would have been better if it just ended at aliens, you know, Alien 2. But hey, the only reason that they made this movie is because the Alien movies were making money. But hey, what can you do? I mean, it would have been nice if they just ended at the second movie, and some people find it unacceptable for what happened in the third movie. But you know what? I give them respect for trying something this ballsy. And so there you go. Let's have a look at another one. Let's have a look at Man of Steel. Now, in this Superman movie, there was a part in this movie where Superman actually kills Zod. And not a lot of people like this. They didn't like the fact that Superman had to kill, because, let's face it, Superman doesn't kill anybody. And I think that's the reason why people didn't like it, that Superman actually killed somebody. And when it came to the next scene, they all acted like it didn't happen. I mean, years ago, the Nostalgia Critic and Angry Joe made a review on this movie, and Angry Joe was saying how Man of Steel was good, and Doug was saying, oh, it was terrible. But the one thing that they did agree on is that they didn't care that Superman actually killed somebody. Because you're not going to always have everything your own way. You're not going to be able to stop the villain without killing him. And sometimes you're going to have to make a decision that you don't want to do, and it'll impact you for the rest of your life. And you know what? I kind of like this idea, because even though Superman is against killing, Superman had to make a very important decision. Either kill Zod or let Zod kill. And you know what? This could have been something big. Like, Zod was the catalyst of something that he would never ever do again, is kill people. But sadly, that never went anywhere in the sequel movies. And again, loads of people didn't like the fact that Superman killed. But you know what? I do like the idea that sometimes he has to make hard decisions that'll impact him for the rest of his life. Yeah, sure, I don't like seeing Superman kill people, but again, this could be like a catalyst of saying, you know what? After this death, I am not going to kill anybody anymore. I'll try and figure out another way next time. And that's another example of things can't go your way. Here's another example. Let's have a look at Dragon Ball Multiverse. Now, in this fan-made story, there's a character called Sombra, and she's the daughter of Vegito. And I'm telling you guys, there is a lot of people who do not like this character. And if you guys want to go and check out the manga, you can do so. Anyways, in this manga, there is a lot of controversy when it comes to Sombra. So much so, it would take me ages to explain. But I have made a few videos saying as to why Sombra hasn't done anything wrong. So I'll leave a link in the description box below to those videos. But basically, somewhere in the middle of the tournament, Sombra gets mind controlled by Bobbity, and she started killing people, and we see what Sombra's past was like, where she killed Goten and loads of people on a planet unintentionally. The thing is, again, it would take me a long time to explain what's happening in this manga with Sunbro and her past. So please, go and check out those 2 videos that I suggested to you in the comment section below. But to me, Sunbro is a tragic character. Even though she was truly sorry on what she did by killing people and going out of control, the fan base absolutely hated Sunbro for what she did. But the thing is, she couldn't remember doing anything. And when she broke out of Bobby's spell, she started crying for what she did. And loads of people wanted to see Sunbro punished. And I'm not talking about the characters, but I'm talking about the audience that's reading this manga. And Vegeta was about to kill her, but Vegeta was stopped by another character, and everybody was going, oh, you shouldn't kill your daughter, or oh, she was being mind controlled. And most of the other characters was defending her, and there was loads of people who was saying, oh, why isn't she being punished? Sunbro is a terrible person. Salinger is simping for Sunbro. And I'm telling you guys something, it was a huge car wreck when it came to the comments, when it came to Sunbro. And to be honest, I was actually one of those people who was actually defending Sunbro. And again, if you guys want to know as to why I'm defending her, please go and check out those 2 videos I mentioned before. I mean, on the Dragon Ball Multiverse webpage, one of the moderators who was looking after the Dragon Ball Multiverse website said that he was leaving because he hated how Sunbro got off easy. I mean, come on, imagine that. Somebody who was actually moderating the website threw a hissy fit, all because a character that he didn't like didn't get punished for it, and he just left. I mean, come on, he's acting like a toddler. And I think there was a few people who came to read Dragon Ball Multiverse, and they said, okay, I'm not reading this anymore because Sunbro didn't get punished. I mean, this controversy was all over the place. I mean, there were some people out there that went so far as to make a fan-made manga of Sunbro getting sent to prison. And if you was to look on the comment sections in some videos where it talks about Sunbro, there is loads of people saying that, oh, Vegeta should have killed her. I hate Sunbro. I mean, seriously, all these people are just freaking children. All because they didn't like the decision that Salinger made. I mean, come on, it's his story and he should be allowed to do whatever he wants with it. And there's been other cases like this as well. Like, for example, the 1999 film, Deep Blue Sea. And basically it's about these extremely powerful, scientifically advanced sharks that was created by scientists. And again, these things were bigger, stronger, faster, and these things were created by scientists. And in this movie, there's a female character that created the sharks, and she's really not a bad person, and she does feel bad about creating the sharks. And in the original ending, both the male and female character, which the female character is the scientist who created the shark, originally she was going to be one of the few characters that actually lived in the end. But before the film was finalised, the movie was put through a test audience first, and the test audience didn't like the fact that the female scientist got to live at the end because, to them, she, among others, were the ones who created the sharks. They didn't like the fact that she got to live in the end, when it was thanks to her and a few others that created these sharks, and loads of people died. So they changed the ending so that she could die by sacrificing herself to stop the shark from escaping its enclosure. So yeah, they had to change things around in order to please the audience. I mean, really, it's not like she created the shark to go around killing people. It was for other scientific studies. So I'm guessing the people who wanted her dead thought, oh yeah, because she created this thing, she deserves to die. I mean, it's not like she released the sharks and she wanted the sharks to go and kill everybody. So yeah, that's another example. The thing is, I've got more respect for storytellers or creators in general who stick to their guns and have the story the way they wanted it to go, even if they were to get backlash from it. It's not up to the audience on what should happen in a story. It's up to the creator on what happens in the story. Here's another example. There's a movie by Stephen King and it's called The Mist. And in this movie, it's about this man and his kid. They go shopping and this massive mist comes in and it surrounds absolutely everything. And when people try to go outside, there are these creatures who's trying to kill them, and one thing leads to another, and the main cast tries to go away from the mist. And it's nearing the film, and you're probably thinking, oh, they're either going to win and get to safety, or they're probably going to get eaten by these creatures. Now, I'm going to go into spoilers. If you haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend you go and check it out, because I'm going to be giving spoilers on what's going to happen at the end. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1, and go. The people who was in the mist in this car are travelling and travelling and travelling, and the car runs out of gas, and they're left with no other choice. They decide to kill themselves, and I think there's like 5 bullets, or it could be 4, and there's 4 or 5 people in the car, and the father decides to kill the 3 people who came with him and kill his son, so that way they won't die of a gruesome death by being eaten by these creatures. So the father kills the 3 people and his son, and he goes outside shouting at the creatures to say, come and get me, I'm here, come and get me, you can have me. And out of the mist comes in these army men, like there's trucks and there's tanks and people with weapons, and they're actually destroying these creatures. So he killed these 3 people and his kid for nothing. And you know what? You don't want that. The fact that he killed his kid all for nothing, and he screams like, ah, ah! And the whole time they were actually running away from the people that could have protected them. And you know what? You don't want to see that. You know, the father killing his own kid, and they were like a minute away of being saved. That was a very, very sad ending. And there's other movies like this, like Drag Me to Hell, where the female lead is dragged to hell. And again, you don't want that. I mean, there are plenty of stories out there where the story doesn't go your way, like somebody got with somebody that you didn't like, or a certain character lived and a certain character died. There's all sorts of stories like that. Okay, now, I'm going to go into what if scenarios. And what I mean by this is, I'm going to take a story that's well known, and I'm going to put in a what if scenario. And I think I'll start off with something nice and simple. Let's have a look at the series Berserk. Now, if you're a Berserk fan, you know what's happening in this manga. And there's a character called Griffith. He's like the main antagonist of the series. Now, when it comes to Griffith, everybody wants Griffith dead. And I'm talking about the audience in general. From the last time I saw Berserk, it was the end of Fantasia. And Griffith took away Casca. And Guts couldn't do anything but look on as Griffith took her away. But I'm sure he'll find a way to get to Casca. Anyways, let me ask you guys something. Let's just say, for example, that the original creator of Berserk, Miura, was still alive. And he continued with his manga of Berserk. Now remember, everybody wants Griffith dead. This is what everybody wants in the story. This is what every single fan wants, is to see Griffith dead and killed by Guts. But what if, now let me on this, what if Miura decided to let Griffith live? Like, what if Casca stopped Guts from killing Griffith, and Casca says that she forgives Griffith, and Casca's in the way of Guts killing Griffith? And listen, this is unlikely, but this is just an example of what I'm trying to say. This is the what if scenario. What if at the end of the story that Griffith and Guts made up somehow, and that would be the end of that story? And yeah, you guys definitely wouldn't like that. But let's just say, for example, that this is what Miura wanted. And I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying it as an example. What if this is what Miura wanted? That Casca, Guts and Griffith had that happily ever after, and all three of them lived in the end. Yeah, you guys wouldn't be happy about it. But on that note, do you think we should just accept and respect of what Miura wanted if it was like this? And yeah, there's going to be a lot of people out there that wouldn't like that. But this is Miura's story. It's up to him what happens in the story. Again, I'm not saying that this is what Miura wanted. It's a what if scenario. And I'm sure all the fans of Berserk would be angry about this. Or what if Casca said, Guts, don't kill Griffith? Again, I know this is something that you guys don't want to see happen, but who are we to say that we want to see or not want to see? And there are those stories that are those moral dilemmas. Let's have a look at South Park. Now, in South Park, they had the COVID special, and I think they were roughly around 2 to 3 episodes. Well, basically, it's in the future, and everybody's grew up. Stan, Kyle, Cartman, everybody in South Park grew up, and not everybody in the future has had their ideal future. Stan didn't marry Wendy, Kyle's all alone, Butters is in an asylum, and the future sucks, like really, really badly. It's almost like everybody, well, almost everybody in South Park has had a bad future. Everybody except for Cartman, because he's got himself a good family, he's got himself a good job, and get this, he also converted to Judaism. No, I'm not joking, he actually converted to Judaism, and it looks like that Cartman has changed his ways. Like, he became a better person when he left South Park, because it was said that Kyle and Stan was holding Cartman back, and when Stan left and everybody drifted apart, Cartman bettered himself. And I'm telling you guys something, when I saw this, I was like, come on, it must be Cartman messing with everybody. He became the very thing that he hated. But no, Cartman actually did change for the better. I mean, come on, this is Cartman. This is somebody who got people killed. He was a racist. He used people. Cartman has done a lot of bad stuff, while Stan and Kyle and the other people in South Park has been relatively the good guys. You know, teaching lessons, helping people out, bringing common sense to chaos. I mean, yeah, sure, don't get me wrong. There were times when Stan, Kyle and Kenny was dicks too, but they were no near as bad as Cartman. But in this timeline, Cartman changed for the best. I mean, he became a better person. He loves his family. He has a good life, while everybody else is just miserable. And after all the horrible things that Cartman has done, he shouldn't be allowed to have this good life. But in this timeline, Cartman changed for the better. I mean, if he can change and, be a good person, then who are we to deny his happiness? Now, some people will say, oh, well, Cartman doesn't deserve to have a better life. Not after all the horrible things that he's done. Well, the thing is, when Kyle and Stan has a chance to go back in time and change things, Cartman tries everything to stop Stan and Kyle going into the past and change things. But one thing leads to another, and even though Cartman will lose his family, if he was to go back into the past and change things, Cartman decides to do the right thing and go back into the past and change things. Hell, he even saved Kyle when he was a kid. He saved his life from Clyde, who was sent back into the past to kill Kyle. And then, when they did change things, everybody's life was better in the future. Stan got with Wendy, Jimmy wasn't politically correct, Carl's got a family, Kenny's alive, Stan's mom and sister is alive, even Butters has a job. Everybody was more or less happy. Everybody except for, ding 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 ding, you're right, Cartman. Because in the new timeline, Cartman is a drug addict that lives on the streets, and is an alcoholic, and Cartman doesn't have a family. Now, here's the thing, in the old timeline, they wanted to go back into the past to help Kenny. and even Cartman saved Carl's life, but nobody does anything to help Cartman. I mean, at the very least, Cartman sacrificed his life to help Kenny. So, if you think about it, Stan and Kyle are the selfish ones. Cartman gave up everything to change things for his friends, while his friends didn't help him in the new timeline. So, who are the real monsters here anyways? And yes, I know, Cartman has done a lot of horrible stuff, but in the old timeline, if he could change for the better, and even sacrifice his own happiness to make things better for everybody, and his friends do absolutely nothing to help him in the new timeline, then it just shows what sort of people Kyle and Stan is. They're just selfish. Now, some people will say that, oh, well, this is what Cartman deserves. But let me ask you guys something. What if there was no time machine for them to go back? And if somebody like Cartman can change for the better, and he has everything going for him, and he's an actual good person now, then who are we to say who should get what? And yes, I know there's times when we want karma to come to the bad guy, but sometimes that doesn't happen, especially in real life, because sometimes karma doesn't come to the bad guy, and they get to have a happy free life. And yes, I know it's an ugly thing to say, but it's true. Sometimes karma doesn't come to those who deserve it. Let's have a look at another one. Now, there's this Korean movie called Hide and Seek, and it's about this father who has his own coffee shop. He has a family, he has a great home, like everything is going for him. He loves his kids love him, he loves his wife, and his wife loves him, and she loves her kids. He has the perfect life, but he's being stalked and harassed by somebody, and somebody is out to get him, and supposedly the person who is harassing him and stalking him is his brother. Yeah, you heard me, his brother. Now, this is where things get really interesting. Now, like I said, this guy has got a good life. He has a family, he's got a job, he's got everything that everybody wants. But what if I was to tell you guys that this guy actually ruined somebody's life, and he got everything that he wanted all because he lied? Okay, basically, the main character in the story was adopted by this fairly wealthy family, and the family already had a son, and the son wasn't really that good looking. I think he had like scabs and zits and all that stuff on his face, and one thing leads to another. And I just want to let you guys know that this is the past of the main character when he came into this house that he was adopted in. Anyways, in the past, some sort of crime happened, and the police are there trying to investigate something, and the police asked the main character if his brother had anything to do with the crime, and it's assumed that his brother didn't do anything wrong, and he tells the police that his brother actually did do it. Again, I'm not really sure what the crime was, but it's assumed that his brother didn't do anything wrong. And before the main character says anything, he was looking at pictures of his brother and the family, and then he turns to the cops and he says, yes, he did do it. And then the brother is taken away, and the brother's family disowns him, and the main character was the sole benefactor of the fairly wealthy family's estate. Again, it's been a very long time since I watched this movie, and I could be wrong, but let's just say, for example, that the main character did lie, and the brother was completely innocent, and he only said yes, so he could be the only child. The main character wanted the brother gone, and after this, his family cut ties with him, he had nowhere to go, he was in jail for a long time. The main character basically ruined his adopted brother's life, all because he wanted to be the sole only child. So I'm going to go into spoilers if you haven't seen the movie. If you guys want to go and check it out, please do. Remember, it's Hide and Seek 2013. Okay, here we go. In the end, it turns out it wasn't his brother, but it was somebody else. And it turns out that his brother's been dead this whole time. His brother wasn't the one who's been stalking him, but it was somebody else. And you know what? That's pretty goddamn sad. I mean, just think about it. He sets up his brother, the family disowns him, and he has nothing. And there are even times within the movie where we see him writing letters to his family. So the brother wasn't a bad person. The brother has his whole life taken away from him, all because the main character was selfish, and he wanted to be the only child, and he didn't like the look of his brother. And the brother just dies. And even when his family passed on, you know, like his mom, his dad, they still think that he still did the crime. But they died thinking that he did do the crime, but he really didn't do the crime. He was just set up by the main character, which is his adopted brother. But he gets no justice. He just gets flat out murdered by somebody else. And the movie tries to get us on the main character's side, even though he was the one who set up his brother. And even in the end, he still gets an happy ending. The main character, I mean. And if you ask me, if the brother was the stalker and the harasser, I think the brother would have had a lot of rights to hate his adopted brother, which is the main character. I mean, when you look at today's media, there are a lot of main characters who are the good guys. They're the average, everyday, good person. These days, characters are bland. Characters these days are bland to a point where they feel like every other character that's in all stories. And the reason for this is because the people who's making these stories to make them as bland as possible is so the average Joe can relate to the main characters of the story. Like, yeah, look how good this character is. This character is like you, a good person. But when it comes to the main character within the movie Hide and Seek 2013, even though he's got a good life, he's got some kids, he's got a wife, he's got a good job, even though he's got all these good things going for him, and it seems that he's a good person, it turns out that he's a scumbag. He got everything handed to him all because he ruined his adopted brother's life. And the thing is, his kids and wife don't know what he did in the past. They don't know he actually ruined his adopted brother's life. So in the end, he got everything while his dead brother got nothing. And that's the thing, karma didn't come to this character. In the end, he got everything that he wanted. I mean, you guys can correct me if you want to, but this is what I remembered from the story. And the thing is, you don't want this guy to have a happy ending, not after what he did to his brother. He basically ruined his brother's life, and the brother's dead. And the parents thought that their son was a bad person, which he wasn't. You know, it kind of gets you thinking, doesn't it? Let's have a look at another one. Let's have a look at the movie series Kill Bill. Now, in these movies, the main character of this movie is trying to hunt down all the assassins that killed her husband and her baby. And one of her first targets is an assassin who has settled down, she's married, she has a daughter, she basically has an happy life. And when the main character kills this assassin, the daughter of the assassin sees what the main character did. She saw the main character kill her mom. And even the main character is like, oh shit, you weren't supposed to see that. And the bride says, when you get older, come after me. You guys will have to go and check out and see what I'm trying to say. And also, there has been a few ideas out there that the next Kill Bill movie should be centered around the kid and the bride. You know, the kid who saw the bride kill her mom. There has been ideas out there that there should be a movie that revolves around this. But let me ask you guys something. Should the kid get revenge on the bride? And yeah, that's where her name is, the bride. I mean, some people would say that the bride shouldn't be killed because maybe they have an emotional attachment to the bride. And some people have actually said that the kid shouldn't go for revenge. But let me ask you guys something. Should the kid get revenge on the bride, considering that she was the one who killed her mom? Like, who's right? Who's wrong? I mean, yeah, the mom of the kid was one of the people who killed her husband and supposedly her daughter. But to that kid, that assassin was still a mom, and the kid hasn't even done anything yet. So really, it leaves you with a very complicated situation. Or here's another one. Let's have a look at the Injustice story from DC. Now, this series is a game and also a comic book, and I highly recommend you guys go and check out because it is really good. Anyways, this is a timeline in the DC universe where the Joker makes Superman kill Lois Lane. And check this out, Lois is actually pregnant with Superman's kid, and also the Joker sets off a bomb in Metropolis, and everybody in it is dead. So Superman goes and kills the Joker, and everything starts spinning out of control in this timeline. Superman at this point is grieving, and is upset of what happened to Lois and Metropolis. So Superman goes from that Boy Scout, you know, somebody you can look up to somebody who's not going to tolerate anything anymore. He stops all wars, he puts all the criminals in an underwater base, and he kills criminals. And Batman doesn't like this. He understands what Superman is going through, but Batman thinks that Superman is going way too far. It's gone to a point that Batman and Superman are actually butting heads. And Batman goes on saying, oh, we shouldn't kill people, we shouldn't kill people. This isn't what the Justice League is all about. And there were times in this comic where people said, how many times did you capture this Joker just to lock him up and he escapes again? And he kills so many people, and you capture him and he's sent back to Arkham just to do it all over again. And you know what? This leaves people with a dilemma, because there has been people saying that, well, I side with Superman because he is absolutely right. Evil people like the Joker shouldn't be allowed to live. And some people say that Batman's right because a hero should never ever kill anybody. They are heroes, not judges. And there's been loads of people saying, well, I side with Batman, or, oh, I side with Superman. But it kind of leaves you with that sense of, I understand why Superman's doing this, and Batman's wrong about some things, and you don't agree what Superman is doing at times. But there are other times that you agree with Batman. And I've seen people in debates talking about this. I mean, come on, the Joker should have been dealt with years ago. And there's other criminals like him who has tried to commit genocide. There's people who's been trying to kill people. And every time they get sent to Arkham and they're let out again, they've continued to do lots of horrible stuff. I mean, look in the game. Brainiac has destroyed loads of worlds. Look at Darkseid. Some villains don't deserve to live. So in a way, I do agree with Superman. Some people might say that Superman has gone too far, but in my opinion, I think Batman's too soft. But I understand that Superman has gone too far. And Batman is right in his own way, that you should stick to your beliefs and not be as bad as the criminals. But that's the same mindset that killed everybody in Metropolis and killed Lois, and loads of other people that the Joker's killed. I mean, some people will side with Superman, some people will side with Batman. So this is one of those stories that leaves you with that feeling of, oh my god. It's just one of those things, you know? I mean, you understand where both sides are coming from. Both sides are the pros and cons. So really, sometimes you just don't know what to do. Or you don't know who to side with. I mean, it's the same with Death Note. I mean, yeah, Light Yagami was a prick, but I couldn't help but side with him on what he was doing. You know, getting rid of all the bad people that society doesn't want. I mean, yeah, he did a lot of bad stuff, but he was actually making a difference. But saying that, there's going to be people that doesn't agree with what Light Yagami did. So you see, it divides its audience. Let's have a look at another one with Dragon Ball Z. Now, when it comes to Dragon Ball Z, there is a few things that some of the fans don't agree with. Like, for example, Goku giving the villains second chances. Now, this is a 50-50 split, because either it's gone in Goku's favour, or it just completely backfired on him. Like, remember when Goku spared Vegeta and Piccolo and Fat Boo, and it worked in Goku's favour? And remember the times when Goku spared Frieza, Moro, and Aishanron, and Goku giving Moro a Senzu Bean, and Goku giving Cell a Senzu Bean? Those times, the fandom didn't like the fact that Goku gave the villains a second chance or gave them a senzu bean. But listen, I'm not going to go into that, because I've already made a video about that. So if you want to go and check out my video, Goku did nothing wrong, you guys can do so. That will explain everything. Okay, let's move on to another one. Now, when it comes to stories, sometimes it leaves you questioning, is the villain right, or are they justified in what they're doing? Like, let's have a look at the series Bleach. Now, if you're a Bleach fan, you know what to expect from this series. And to everybody else who doesn't know anything about this series, well, basically, there are 3 characters in the series: Aizen, Ginjo, and Tozen. And they're all the bad guys in the series. But when it comes to these 3, they are either right or they were screwed over by the Soul Society. Let's have a look at Tozen first. Tozen wanted revenge on the Soul Society because his friend got killed by a noble, and he wanted to destroy the Soul Society because they didn't bring justice to Tozen's friend, and so he went against the Soul Society. Let's have a look at Ginjo. The reason why he hates the Soul Society so much is because the Soul Society killed his Fullbring friend in the past, but the only reason that they killed Ginjo's friend is because the Fullbrings had a piece of the Soul King's body inside of them, and the Soul King has these special powers, and a noble called Tokinada, which is the same guy who killed Tozen's friend. Well, Ginjo started killing Soul Reapers because they killed his Fullbring friends, and Tokinada went up to the Gote 13 and he started saying, oh, this Ginjo guy, he started killing so many Soul Reapers. And so the trust between the Soul Society and Ginjo was broken. So yeah, Ginjo and Tozen was screwed over by the Soul Society. And there's also Aizen. I mean, we didn't really see the full extent of what he wants to do or what his backstory is, but something tells me that Aizen was the good guy all along. I won't explain it in this video, I'll do it in another video in the future. But something tells me that Aizen was the good guy all along. You're just going to have to take my word for it. Let's have a look at another series, King of the Hill. Now, in this series, there's a character called Cotton, which is Hank's dad. And Cotton isn't a very nice guy. He is horrible to everyone, even his own son. He's a misogynist, he can be racist, he can be straight up bad. But saying that, even though he's all these things, there's one thing that he loves more than anything in this world, and that is Bobby. In one episode, when everybody thought that it was Cotton who burned down a church, and Bobby knew that it wasn't Cotton who burned down the church, it was Bobby. Bobby was the one who burnt down the church, and Bobby felt so guilty of what he did, he decided to come clean and tell his dad and mom that he was the one who burnt down the church. And Hank said to Bobby to go and tell everyone what really happened. And then Cotton comes in, and he says that he would take the fall for Bobby. Cotton knows that everybody already hates him, and he doesn't care what anybody thinks of him. And Cotton even says that he would take a bullet for Bobby if he could. And even though Cotton can be a terrible person, he has a soft spot for his grandkid, and would even take a fall for him. So even though Cotton is a misogynist, he does have some good in him. I mean, some people would say, oh, they're a misogynist, so they're a very terrible person. But saying that, even if they are a terrible person, and they still love their grandkids or loves animals or whatever, it just goes to show that people are more complex, either in real life or in stories. And you know what? I've even seen stories where the main protagonist of a story is a good person and they haven't done anything wrong, but they get an awful ending in the end, and the people who screwed them over gets no karma. You could say that they get an happy ending in the end. You know, the bad guy. I've seen this sort of thing in stories before, where the main protagonist that was all innocent and did no wrong, they had their lives destroyed, while the people who made their lives a misery had an happy ending. I know, it doesn't seem real, but this sort of thing has happened in stories before. And trust me, I have seen stories like this before, and those stories absolutely broke me. I mean, especially when the people who have made this person's life a misery, they don't get any karma in the end. They didn't die, they didn't go to prison, they didn't get shamed, nothing. And most likely had a happy ending for the rest of their lives. And most people don't want to listen to or watch a story about an innocent person who gets screwed over by a bad person, and the bad person just gets away with it. But trust me, I have seen these types of stories before. Anyways, the point what I'm trying to get across is, you're not going to have everything go your way in a story. And I know there's a lot of people out there that likes a crystal clear right and wrong story, where the good guy wins and the bad guy loses. But sometimes, if not most of the time, a story isn't going to be like that. A story is going to leave you with that sense of who was right in the situation, or leaves you with that sense of feeling really upset because this innocent character did nothing wrong, but the bad guy got away with it. In stories, you're going to have terrible people do good things, and stories that leaves you conflicted. And if you ask me, I think that's the best thing stories should do. Stories are supposed to leave you confused and conflicted and open your horizons. They're supposed to make you feel upset and make you question the values of life, and helps you learn that not everything is going to go your way. You're not going to have that pretty little bow at the end of your life, or at the end of the story. And you can't have everything your own way. And that's all I was trying to say. Some stories are supposed to be cautionary tales. Some stories are supposed to leave you uncomfortable. Some stories are supposed to leave you angry. Some stories are supposed to leave you conflicted. Some stories are supposed to leave you with questions, question your morality. Nothing is black and white. There isn't going to be that crystal clear right and wrong. There isn't going to be that happily ever after. Sometimes it can be a dark ending. Sometimes karma doesn't come to those who deserve it. A story can't go your way all the time. And if you ask me, I think that's a good thing. Because if we was given the same thing over and over and over again, with an happily ever after, with the same morals given to us over and over and over again, we wouldn't experience conflicting ideals. You're just not going to have that perfect ending that you want. You're not going to have that crystal clear right and wrong. A story just can't go your own way. And that's all I wanted to say. And that's the reason why I made this video. You guys need to understand that nothing is going to go your way in a story. Even if it makes you angry, upset, uncomfortable, you need to realise that not everything is going to go your way. Well, that's it for me. What do you guys think? Am I right? Am I wrong? Is there a story that you didn't like because it didn't go your way? Please let me know in the comment section below and let's get a discussion going. I'm Freaky. Peace out. And please don't forget to check out my other social medias. Please go and check out my alternative video platforms, Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Twitch, and please come and hang out on my Discord server. We can play games, have a movie night or a series night, or you can watch me play a few games. And if you guys have any suggestions of any videos you want me to react to, or any video ideas in general, you can tell me on my Discord. I'm also on Twitter, Gab, Getter, and Paula. I'm on Locals, Tumblr, Minds, and if you guys want to support me, please go and check out my Subscribestar. It's like Patreon, but better. All these things are in the description box below, so please go and check them out and subscribe to them. I'm Geek Freak. Peace out.